How's everyone doing? Next part of the series. Here. What do you think? So, depending on your transom, if you're this far along, could have been easy, could have been hard. Mine was pretty easy so far. As long as you got the right tools, meaning the oscillating saw, you got the bimetal blades, not the worst thing. For me, one of the most tedious things about this project, and it has been in the past too, is actually removing all of this foam. The foam, you can't just take a screwdriver in there and try to cut it out, so it's kind of a pain in the butt. You'll see around the corner, trimmed out a bunch there. And one of the things to note is I found some major design flaws with the old transom that was in here that is definitely going to get corrected with the newer design. And let me tell you, this is what we got. So number one, this is not marine grade plywood back here. That's the first problem. The other thing too is they bonded them together with fiberglass in between, which is okay, not a bad idea. I'm going to use marine grade adhesive. It's probably a little bit cheaper, but stronger in my opinion, because the marine grade adhesive is a little bit more flexible. The other thing too is if you notice here, we've actually had separation from the rear outer shell of the boat compared to the transom. And what that does is it allows moisture to get behind and actually work its way into the boat. Major design issue. You can see where that L is in the back. The wood actually has no backing at all behind here. In fact, you can see I can put my fingers back there. And the downside to that is, like I said, moisture. So it's a bad design. You look how thick this is from here to here. They don't have anything behind here all the way across. So it's kind of, it's really wasted plywood. Here's a good example. You can see up here, and then it makes this turn, and really your transom is only, in reality, maybe 4 inches, because there's this bend. Now this is a unique rear end of the boat, so we're gonna have to go with it. I'm not gonna put a sheet of plywood that goes over here because it's not doing anything. It's not going, and it's not butting up to anything. So what you're gonna see happen here is I'm gonna probably build the transom up to about right here and fill this in with what we call like peanut butter. It's a mix of epoxy and fiberglass. And that's how I'm going to kind of clean up this edge over here all the way across. So it's not going to be this super big thick transom back there, because it's not doing any good. So that'll be part of the design, and you'll see what type of material we overlay on top of this to make it super strong. That's going to be coming up in the next few series. But you can see I've kind of cleaned up all the wood there. We have some residual wood that we're going to cut out with the grinder. I'm going to actually just grind it down. But that's that. And you can see over here, we got a little bit more to do going that way and around here. Now once I get that transom completely removed out, the next step is we're going to come over here to this floorboard, and we're likely going to cut back 1 foot. And then I'm going to take a square out here to inspect the floorboard here and see if it's any good. Because if it is, awesome. Then I'm going to just cut out just enough so I could finish taking out the rest of the transom out. Because yes, even this all has to come out too. So in order to get to that, this is likely going to be a solid piece of wood, so we'll have to cut this out so we can gain access to that, because we need to roll. We need to get the transom down in there and repair all of it straight to the bottom of the boat. So we can't just splice it in. I guess you could if you wanted to be super cheap about it, but that's not how I roll. So you can see in here, it's still, the wood in here is still kind of soft. Not very good. So stay tuned. We're gonna keep removing this wood here. Yeah, mainly this over here, and then we'll start on the floorboards and see what we got. It's probably not gonna be too bad, because these clips that hold the battery in, they're not really loose. So that's kind of a good sign. It could be just the fiberglass holding it, but I'm hoping that this wood is structurally sound, because if it is, that's awesome. Maybe just cut a little bit less, just enough to get that old fiberglass out. You gotta allow enough room too, so you can get the machine in, the oscillating tool. You need to allow enough room. So in reality, you kind of want to allow like the length of the tool, so like maybe cut all the way back here, because otherwise you're going to be constantly doing this the entire time in there, and you could probably get away with that. But how hard is it to splice in a piece of floorboard? You know, it's not that hard to do. It's easier to kind of work around these stringers versus trying to sit there and do this the whole time. So anyway, more to come. Stay tuned. Hope you like the series so far. Yep. So you can see now, got all the wood removed, and all that needs to be done is a good grind on that to kind of get some of the residual wood. You'll see the browner spots off. And you can also see I took a lot of the foam and moved that away just enough so I have enough area to coat that bottom section with what we refer to as peanut butter, which is, like I said earlier, a mixture of chopped strand, Calbacil, and epoxy resin. Let's go to the next piece here. So, as I mentioned before, I made a few cuts in both sides. I started off with a few inches and moved about 2 feet. Found some interesting findings here. Moved to this side, and then same here, just mirrored it on both sides all the way back. Here's what I found. Check this out. This one's actually still got, that's plywood. One hand, everybody. Believe me, I'm not this strong. All right, we got a little bit right there. Look at that. Probably not a good sign. Go right through it. What about this here? Ready? No, it's pretty solid there. Yep. Not a good sign. This one just went through immediately when I was cutting it. And then over here. Yeah. So the floorboard, as you can imagine, is probably tied in. So when the water got behind the transom, you'll probably see that it's tied in. Because what I like to do when I set up the transom is I separate the actual outer wall. The transom side is completely separate from the floorboard. So if one leaks, it doesn't contaminate the other side. Because you think of it like a channel. The water channels in through the back plane, then kind of soaks up through here, and vice versa. If you get these cracks in here, water seeps in there, goes through the floorboard, connects to the transom, and flows down this way. It rots it. So what we're going to do when I rebuild this is you'll have the transom it'll be completely separated from the floor. All right, so what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do here? I made that cut. That floorboard is rotten. This is rotten. It's about 2 feet. And we're roughly 3 feet back over here, still rotten. Notice how I had to cut a section of carpet out on both sides? Well, basically I'm going to keep cutting carpet out until I find a part of the floorboard that's still good. Likely, with my experience with doing this in the past, it's more likely that the floorboard's going to be rotten all the way up to the front. So, not really looking forward to that. We went from a full transom rebuild to full transom and the floorboard. So this is kind of good for you all because you get to see the new marine grade plywood, because I use marine grade plywood everywhere. I use either Hydrotech or Aquatech throughout, so you get to see the best wood being put down, and on top of that I'm going to use epoxy and so on and so forth. So it's gonna look good. We're gonna do this one right. Stay tuned. I hope you liked the video. There's going to be more.